Great Bay Boulevard Beach, the last road into the marsh. Prologue, a road that should not exist. On the eastern edge of southern New Jersey, beyond the neighborhoods of Tuckerton and Little Egg Harbor, there is a road that seems to defy logic. Most roads are built to connect one place to another. Great Bay Boulevard appears to have no destination at all. It leaves civilization behind and stretches mile after mile through an ocean of marsh grass. The houses disappear, the trees disappear. Even the power lines begin to feel distant. Soon, there is nothing but sky, water, and an endless horizon. The road passes over a series of bridges that cross tidal creeks and channels carved by centuries of moving water. To travelers unfamiliar with the area, the landscape can feel almost alien. There are no mountains, forests, or towering structures. Instead, there is openness in every direction. At the end of this isolated roadway sits a small beach overlooking Great Bay and Little Egg Inlet. Many people drive here seeking fishing spots, sunsets, wildlife, or simply solitude. Few realize they are standing in one of the most ecologically important landscapes on the Atlantic coast. The story of Great Bay Boulevard Beach is not simply the story of a beach. It is the story of an estuary, a transportation dream, a wilderness, and a battle between land and sea that has been unfolding for thousands of years. Chapter 1: Before New Jersey existed. To understand Great Bay Beach, one must travel back long before roads, towns, or even New Jersey itself existed. Approximately 20,000 years ago, during the last ice age, much of North America was covered by massive glaciers. At that time, the shoreline was not where it is today. Sea levels were dramatically lower. The location that would eventually become Great Bay was dry land. As glaciers melted, enormous volumes of water flowed into the oceans. Sea levels gradually rose, drowning coastal valleys and creating the bays, inlets, and marshes that define modern coastal New Jersey. Over thousands of years, tides deposited layers of sediment. Marsh grasses took root. Barrier islands formed offshore. Together, these natural forces created the Great Bay Estuary. Today, this estuary covers thousands of acres and serves as one of the largest and healthiest coastal ecosystems in the state. The beach at the end of Great Bay Boulevard is merely the visible edge of a much larger natural system that began forming thousands of years before human beings ever arrived. Chapter 2: The Lenape and the Living Bay. Long before Europeans sailed into the region, the area was home to the Lenape people. The Lenape did not see Great Bay as wilderness. To them, it was a source of life. The tidal creeks provided fish. The mudflats provided shellfish. The marshes offered birds, edible plants, and transportation routes. Canoes moved through channels that remain visible today. Archaeologists have discovered evidence of Native American activity throughout southern New Jersey, including shell deposits and campsites near coastal waterways. The Lenape understood the rhythms of the bay. They knew when fish migrated. They knew when shellfish could be harvested. They knew how tides changed the landscape. For centuries, Great Bay served as a natural pantry that provided food throughout the year. When European settlers arrived during the 17th century, they entered a landscape already understood and utilized by native peoples for generations. Chapter 3: Settlers, Oystermen, and Baymen. As colonial settlements expanded across New Jersey, Great Bay became increasingly important to local economies. The waters were rich with oysters. Clams thrived in the muddy bottoms. Fish were abundant. Communities such as Tuckerton developed strong maritime traditions. Generations of Baymen made their living harvesting resources from the estuary. The oyster industry became especially significant. By the 19th century, southern New Jersey oysters were being shipped to cities throughout the eastern United States. The bay became crowded with oyster boats. Wharves lined waterfronts. Packing houses processed seafood. Families built entire livelihoods around the waters surrounding Great Bay. The marshes themselves were also valuable. Salt hay harvested from marshlands was used as livestock feed and bedding. What appears empty today was once an economic engine supporting thousands of people. Chapter 4: The Great Boulevard Dream. By the early 20th century, automobiles were transforming America. Roads became symbols of progress. Developers and politicians envisioned ambitious highway projects connecting communities and encouraging tourism. One such vision involved Great Bay Boulevard. The plan was extraordinary. Engineers proposed constructing a roadway through miles of marshland. The route would eventually help connect portions of southern New Jersey and improve access toward Atlantic City. At the time, this represented a major engineering challenge. Marshes are unstable environments. Road foundations sink. Tides constantly reshape the landscape. Construction crews had to raise sections of roadway above the wetlands and build bridges across tidal waterways. Huge quantities of fill material were brought in. Pilings were driven into soft ground. Workers battled mosquitoes, weather, and difficult terrain. Building Great Bay Boulevard was far more difficult than constructing roads on solid land. Yet the project moved forward. Bridge by bridge. Mile by mile. The roadway pushed deeper into the marsh. Then something happened. The grand vision stalled. Funding issues, changing transportation priorities, and economic realities halted expansion. The road never fully became what its planners envisioned. Instead, Great Bay Boulevard ended in the marsh. A transportation dream became a dead end. Ironically, that failure preserved the wilderness. Had the project succeeded, development might have dramatically altered the region. Chapter 5: The Seven Bridges. One of the defining features of Great Bay Boulevard is its famous series of bridges. Locals often refer to the route as Seven Bridges Road. Each bridge crosses a unique tidal channel. Beneath them, water constantly flows between the estuary and the Atlantic Ocean. At low tide, mudflats emerge. At high tide, water fills every creek and channel. The bridges provide some of the best wildlife viewing opportunities in southern New Jersey. From their railings, visitors can observe blue crabs, horseshoe crabs, mullet, striped bass, egrets, herons, ospreys, diamondback terrapins. Every bridge serves as a window into a different piece of the ecosystem. The changing tides ensure that no two visits are ever exactly alike. Chapter 6: Building the Beach. Unlike many Jersey Shore beaches, Great Bay Beach was never designed as a resort destination. Its shoreline developed naturally through centuries of tidal movement. Sand carried by currents accumulated along portions of the bay. Storms repeatedly reshaped the coastline. Hurricanes deposited new material. Nor'easters removed it. The beach visible today is essentially a temporary feature. Nature constantly rebuilds it. Unlike beaches protected by extensive engineering projects, Great Bay Beach remains largely under the control of natural forces. That makes it both fragile and fascinating. Chapter 7: The Wildlife Capital of Ocean County. Perhaps no aspect of Great Bay Boulevard is more remarkable than its wildlife. The surrounding marshes function as a biological powerhouse. Every square foot supports life. Beneath the mud are worms, crabs, mollusks, and countless microscopic organisms. Small fish feed on these creatures. Larger fish feed on the smaller fish. Birds feed on the fish. Predators feed on the birds and mammals. An entire food web operates continuously. Scientists often compare estuaries to nurseries. Many fish species begin life in protected marsh environments before moving into larger waters. Species found in or around Great Bay include striped bass, weakfish, bluefish, summer flounder, Atlantic menhaden, blue crabs, American eels, horseshoe crabs. Without estuaries such as Great Bay, many Atlantic fisheries would struggle to survive. Chapter 8: The Kingdom of the Osprey. Few birds are more closely associated with Great Bay than the osprey. Standing nearly 2 feet tall with wingspans reaching 6 feet, these fish-eating raptors dominate the skies. During much of the 20th century, osprey populations declined due to pesticide contamination. Their eggs became fragile. Nest success plummeted. By the 1970s, the species faced serious challenges. Conservation efforts changed the story. Artificial nesting platforms were installed throughout Great Bay. Environmental regulations reduced harmful chemicals. Today, osprey once again thrive throughout the region. Driving Great Bay Boulevard in summer often means spotting multiple nests. Adults circle overhead carrying fish back to hungry chicks. Their recovery stands as one of New Jersey's greatest conservation successes. Chapter 9: The Terrapin Crossing. Every year another remarkable migration occurs. Female diamondback terrapins leave the marsh. Their destination is dry land. They must lay eggs above the reach of tides. Unfortunately, Great Bay Boulevard lies directly in their path. Thousands of turtles attempt road crossings annually. For decades, many were struck by vehicles. Conservation organizations responded with public awareness campaigns and habitat improvements. Today, drivers are encouraged to watch carefully during nesting season. A single terrapin crossing the road may seem insignificant. Yet each turtle represents generations of survival in an ecosystem that has changed remarkably little over time. Chapter 10: Storms of the Century. The history of Great Bay is also a history of storms. Hurricanes have repeatedly battered the coastline. The famous 1944 hurricane brought severe damage. The Ash Wednesday storm of 1962 reshaped large portions of the Jersey Shore. More recently, Hurricane Sandy dramatically altered coastal New Jersey. Storm surges flooded marshes. Channels shifted. Shorelines eroded. Infrastructure suffered damage. Yet the marsh survived. In many ways, the wetlands acted as a natural shield, absorbing energy that otherwise would have reached inland communities. Every major storm leaves its mark. The landscape visitors see today is partly the result of centuries of hurricane impacts. Chapter 11: Sunset at the End of the Road. As evening approaches, Great Bay Boulevard transforms. The marsh grasses glow bronze. The water reflects gold and orange light. Shadows stretch across the tidal channels. Birds return to roost. The wind often becomes the loudest sound. This is when the beach reveals its true character. Unlike crowded boardwalk destinations, Great Bay offers silence. The view seems endless. There are moments when it feels possible to imagine the coastline as it appeared hundreds of years ago. The setting sun sinks behind miles of untouched wetlands. For photographers, birdwatchers, fishermen, and nature lovers, this daily event is the reason they keep returning. Chapter 12: The Future of Great Bay. The future of Great Bay Beach remains uncertain. Sea levels continue to rise. Storm intensity may increase. Marshes face pressure from erosion and development elsewhere along the coast. Yet Great Bay remains one of New Jersey's best preserved estuarine systems. Scientists monitor water quality. Conservationists protect habitat. Wildlife agencies manage the surrounding lands. Their goal is simple: ensure that future generations can experience the same wilderness visible today. Because Great Bay Boulevard is more than a road. The beach at its end is more than sand. Together they form a rare portal into coastal New Jersey's past. A place where history, ecology, engineering, and natural beauty intersect. And as long as the marsh endures, the road to the edge of the bay will continue leading travelers into one of the most extraordinary landscapes in the Garden State. Epilogue: The Last Light. When darkness finally settles over Great Bay, the marsh becomes almost invisible. The horizon disappears. The water blends into the night. The only sounds are the wind, distant waves, and the occasional call of a bird somewhere beyond the reeds. The road that once promised progress instead preserved a wilderness. Its unfinished ending became its greatest achievement. And at the very end of Great Bay Boulevard, where pavement meets sand and marsh meets sea, New Jersey reveals a side of itself that few people ever truly see.